In this video, we will try to intuitively understand what permutations are. The problem that permutation tries to solve is, given n objects, what are the number of ways you can order them? The answer for that is n factorial, and we will try to see why that is the case through an example. So you can treat the problem of ordering n objects uh, into the problem of making n persons stand in a line and count the number of ways you can do that, right? Both of these are equivalent. So whenever you are tasked to order any objects, you imagine this problem of taking n persons and lining them up and then asking the question how many ways you can line them up. Let's consider an example of three persons, A, B, and C, and we are trying to count the number of ways we can line them up, right? So we have three spots. So this is the first spot, second spot, and the third spot. And maybe one way we can line them up is maybe B stands first, then A, then C, or C stands first, then A, then B, right? We have to count the number of ways we can line them up. Do that. So what we can do is we can take those three slots and then focus on the first slot, right? And this is the initial state. And for the first spot, there are three options, right? Either A can stand in the first spot, B, either B or C. So there are three options for the first spot, right? So once the first spot is taken, for example, let's say B has taken the first spot. Once the first spot is taken, for the second spot, we will have two options. We'll only have two options left, which is A and C, right? Similarly, if A has taken the first spot, there'll be only two options left for the second spot, B and C. And if C has taken the first spot, there'll be two options left for the third spot, which will be A and B. So now we have filled up the first spot and the second spot. Once the second spot is also filled up, for example, let's say first spot is taken by B, then the second spot is taken by A, the only spot left for the third person, there's only one option for the third spot, which will be, in this case, it will be C. And in this case, it will be A. And in this case, B. And in this case, it will be A. And in this case, it will be C. And in this case, it will be B. So what are the number of ways that we are able to line them up, right? So we can write them down here, right? So one possible way of lining them up is A, B, and C. Basically, you follow the leaf from the root, right? A, B, and C. The second possible way to line them up is A, C, and B. A, C, B, and so on. So B, A, C, B, C, A, C, A, B, C, B, A, right? So in this case, for 3, that's how it becomes 3 times 2 times 1, which will be 6. So in the first level, you had 3 options for the first spot, and then you had 2 options for the second spot, and then there'll be 1 options for the first spot. And then if you count the number of leaves, right, those give the number of ways you can line them up. So we can do the same thing for if you have n persons and you are trying to make n persons line them up. In the initial, for the first spot, there will be n options. Will be n options. So these are your n options for the first spot. And once the first spot has been taken, there will be only n minus 1 options for the second spot. And there will be n minus 1 options for the second spot, right? And so on. And then finally, if you do this and then count the number of leaves, so you will basically get n times n minus 1 times n minus 2 and so on up to 1. So this becomes your n factorial.